let's get right into it. Please find your seat and take a moment to settle in. Check on your posture. Maybe move around a little. And as you begin to settle, you might relax the muscles around your eyes and your jaw. Allow your shoulders to, rather than be held up tightly. And when you're ready, close your eyes. You might bring your attention to the expansions and contractions in your abdomen with each inhale and exhale. See if you can find the lowest point at which you feel your breath. See how low it goes. Maybe somewhere around your navel, maybe lower, maybe all the way. Or maybe it isn't very low at all today. This is fine. You might place one of your hands in that area for a moment and really lean your attention in to feel this flowing of your breath. See if it offers you a sense of stability in your sitting. And then simply follow your breath from the moment it appears, as it changes and evolves until it disappears from your awareness. When you are ready, start counting your breaths. Gently. You might count 1 on the inhale and 1 on the exhale, 2 on the next inhale and 2 on the exhale, all the way up to 10, and then start again. Each time you find that your mind has gone elsewhere, or if my voice interrupts a train of thought, simply unhook, unstick, and start again. It might be a good idea to remember that even though we are training concentration here with the counting of our breaths, you are not here to do breath counting well. You are not here to be undistracted, at least not in the way we think of it conventionally. You are here to work with your mind as it is and apply your concentration to a simple task. And if we were to talk about progress in this particular kind of work, we might characterize it as a more nuanced and refined noticing of the quality of your mind and the amount of shit that moves around, and the understanding that most of it moves around without consulting you or asking permission or letting you know ahead of time. You hear things, you hear your thoughts, you see things even with your eyes closed. You feel things, both emotions and physical feelings. All sorts of things move. That is the nature of your mind. And if concentration looks like anything, it looks like a piece of stillness in all of that movement. A stillness that happens to be counting breaths right about now. And so concentration is not a matter of an empty mind, a mind free of distractions beyond the task at hand. In fact, it is almost the opposite. It is a mind that is so open and almost welcoming to everything that arises in awareness that nothing sticks. It is not pulled or pushed or tugged by any appearance. It is a mind that unhooks from distractions and simply returns to the task at hand over and over again, moment by moment. Unhook and return. Unhook and return. If we are to be a little bit more specific, concentration might really look like noticing distractions, unhooking, unsticking, and returning over and over again in perpetuity, essentially. That noticing piece is quite important. If you pay attention and play around the laboratory of your own experience, you might notice that most things that pull your mind around tend to weaken, if not dissolve entirely, when they are noticed and seen clearly. Seen without too much opinion, without too much judgment, without controlling, shaping, or trying to fix. And so today, we are going to expand our breath counting concentration practice a little bit and open up space in our awareness for other things that are there anyway. We are just going to give them a bit of attention. And so when you go to count your breaths, one on the inhale, one on the exhale, at the end of each exhale, check in with the space of hearing. See if there are things being heard and hearing going on. There may be noises in the room you're in, traffic, people outside, neighbors playing music, the buzz of the fridge, or just the background hum of the room. You might hear your breathing, you might even hear your heartbeat. But if there is anything being heard, there is hearing going on. and simply label it to yourself. Hearing. Continue. You might do this at the end of each exhale, because that little pause between the exhale and the inhale allows space for this. And this checking need not be a protracted effort, or effort at all. Simply listen for a split second, and if there is anything being heard, hearing, and then continue counting. And so, 1 on the inhale, on the exhale, oh, hearing. 2 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, oh, hearing. 3 on the inhale, 3 on the exhale, and so on. Spend a little time doing this. Now, let's open up to the space of physical sensations, to the space of feeling. At any given moment, if you pay attention, there are plenty of things being felt. There is the feeling of pressure where your body meets the floor or the chair below you. There is the feeling of cloth or your clothing against your skin. Maybe there is a breeze across your face or your fingertips. Mild itching somewhere around your skull. Maybe tension or a stretch in your hips if you're sitting cross-legged. Most of the time, there is plenty of things being felt. So, in that space between the exhale and the next inhale, simply check in with physical sensations. And if there is any feeling going on, you just label it feeling. 1 on the inhale, 1 on the exhale. Feeling. 2 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale. Oh, feeling. 3 on the inhale. So on, up to 10, and start again. For feelings you notice, it is interesting to consider that this is what the world feels like for you right now. Just like whatever hearing you may have noticed is exactly what the world sounds like to you right now. And now for the last phase of this practice, see if you can open up the space of your thoughts. This is a little bit trickier, but don't overthink it. Don't overplan it. This is not so much a matter of being prepared and knowing exactly what you're doing. Just check in with where your mind is at the end of each exhale. It will be thinking. That is a fact. And the content of those thoughts is not so important for the moment, but the realization that there is thinking going on, and that now that thinking is being known, that's quite something. And so you count 1 on the inhale, 1 on the exhale. Oh, thinking. 2 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, thinking. 3 on the inhale, 3 on the exhale, thinking. All the way up to 10, and then start again. You may have noticed as we did this that if we open up the space and welcome in all of these bits of experience that would normally be considered distractions, they seem to settle a little bit, and concentration becomes easier. In fact, you may have noticed that some of these would-be distractions almost dissolve under the gaze of your attention, all by themselves leaving you free to return to the task at hand of counting your breaths. This is how, by the simple act of noticing and allowing things to be, concentration becomes effortless. Spend a few more minutes doing this. And maybe if you're feeling up for it, you might open all 3 of these spaces simultaneously. The space of hearing, space of feeling, and the space of thinking. It tends to help if you think of them as one space. Simply check in at the end of each exhale, not worrying too much about the content, but more being mindful of the space. And, as always, count your breath from 1 to 10 and start again. If for you this felt uncomfortable and perhaps frustrating and unclear, that's okay. It isn't meant to be easy, at least not for the moment. For the moment, it is meant to be somewhere around the edge of your comfort and capability. But with practice, things settle. Where once lots of effort and energy, resources of self were required to do deeds, some of them take care of themselves. That is getting close to effortless concentration. So let's bring things to a close for today. If you want to keep sitting, please do so. And if you have a chance, do run through this practice multiple times or several days in a row. As with all training and with all practice, reps matter. But not just any reps. Mindful reps, please.